tonight? If you have not had DocuSign in the past or in the last month, please raise your hand. Anyone else that would like to have DocuSign this evening, please raise your hand. Hatha on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing to be here to practice this evening. If we can't easily see each other, feel welcome to adjust and put yourself somewhere where that's easier. This is supposedly spring break, and yet I find myself very, very scheduled. Poor me. And one of the things that happened Monday and Tuesday, I was interviewed by two different, one for an online Dharma class, of which I'm one of the faculty, and then one was a podcast interview. And I find it very tiring to do that because the question of something like, well, tell us about yourself. It's like, oh. It's an exhausting question, and yet necessary and helpful, actually. But one of the questions that came out that I heard, I hear it a lot, I guess, but I heard it a little more heartfelt for whatever reason in whichever interview it was yesterday. And it's kind of like, why do you do this? Like, what's going on? You know, what is awakening? You talk so much about it and you speak so passionately about it, but like, what is going on there? And something about the earnestness, I suppose, with which the question was asked, that always has a direct effect on the answer. And the question kind of has stayed with me. I think I met it well enough, but I think it's a beautiful question to ask, not just when you start. You know, the question is kind of like, what is this stuff? What are these people doing here? Is there anything here for me in all of this? And that's a legitimate and necessary entrance question. But it's interesting because as people practice durably, the answer to that question changes. I suppose in the same way that is, you know, when you, let's say, if you have a child, right, and the way you relate to this infant that comes home without an instruction manual of any kind, you figure a way of relating with this infant, you know. And then if things go well, as the infant grows, so too does your relationship grow, hopefully, right? And so your Dharma practice is very much like this. The things that are immediately and urgently imperative in the early stages, they change over time. The manifestations are a little different when your 5-week-old is in crisis and when your 25-year-old is in crisis. But what's the same? Because something is the same. the heart of the matter is still mother and child, say. So what is the heart of this matter that we're attending to? I think there's a lot of ways to look at this, a lot of ways to respond to this. But one of the enduring qualities is an understanding of the value of radical simplicity, I would say. Knowing how to live in a very simple way. And I'm not talking about by measure of the world or by anybody else's count. This is not measurable in some blatant way, I don't think, but it really has to do with the simplicity of mind, the simplicity of direction. And it's very challenging today. The world is very complicated, yes? There's a lot of really confusing things going on. I was watching, as I suppose many of us are, news from the world, and the one particular content showed different videos. This is real, this is AI and fake. And it just kept going back and forth of different video clips from the conflict that our country is now engaged in. And just the staggering, just the reality that you can't just assume that what you see is true anymore. It's amazing, it's astonishing. But also somehow not all that new, it turns out. Somehow an echo from the Zen masters from ancient times says, be careful about just taking in what you see to be true, folks. Look deeply and carefully at the process of your experience. It turns out that there's something very important here to be seen long before the internet and artificial integrity was a thing. So this simplicity, this radical simplicity, it has really to do with your mind and the way you live and the way you see yourself and the way you see the world. This is a quality, I think. And it's kind of ironic because it can become very complex at times. But the heart of it is still this radical simplicity, always coming home to this very simple, fundamental quality of mind, this quality of our true nature. I tell you, it can take the most complicated and confusing thing and make it blatantly obvious. And I hope to help us with that a little bit tonight. Another quality that is durable is this practicing of non-clinging. The practicing of non-clinging. We use the word attachment often in the literature and our language, but I fear it's perhaps not the most skillful. It kind of gives this idea of a nihilistic, uncaring quality, and this misses the point entirely. The bodhisattvas care deeply, cry fully, grieve authentically. But clinging? No, not. What is this non-clinging mind? You see, the mind left to its own devices tends to try to glom onto things and to stick and to make things thinged. We make things out of things. We make things out of ourselves. We make things out of situations. We make a thing of it, right? And in doing this, it's natural enough in some ways, but we miss the fundamental reality of things when we concretize by clinging. So for example, if your identity is you're let's say a child, a son, a daughter, say, and then you come to the stage of life where your parents pass away, well, now you're no longer a son or a daughter in that same way. So who are you? Or perhaps I'm a parent, and then the child leaves and off, hopefully has their own life. Now, what are you? Or you're a computer programmer and suddenly AI has taken your gig. Who are you now? on and on and on it goes. The answer is not to simply just give up and walk away from everything and hide your head in the sand. That is not Zen. Zen practitioners, Zen masters are deeply engaged in their lives and they care about them. But there's this essential non-clinging, non-obsessing, non-addictive mind. The mind is empty. The mind is clear. It's rather like a mirror that simply reflects that which comes before it, completely, perfectly, meets the moment brilliantly. But clinging? No. Imagine a mirror that holds echoes and ghosts of all that it's shown before, projecting that on top of the image that's now needed. This is not very useful of a mirror. Might come up with some cool art, but I'm not going to shave with it, obviously. No, dear one, the mind has to be clear. Anything that you hold on to is a source of suffering. And it doesn't mean not caring about things or not engaging. Care and engage deeply, but don't cling. Because the fact is, everything is impermanent, everything is changing. This is the law, immutable, eternal. If you're lucky and you live long enough to see your body start falling apart on you, and you're lucky enough to have a healthy youth to contrast it with, which not everyone does, this lesson becomes painfully clear. This empty mind, this clear mirror, where nothing is defended and nothing is clung to. Things are not known in the typical unexamined way. But there is a profound intimacy in meeting each moment, deeply meeting each moment. In fact, it turns out that the more the mirror is filled with echoes and shadows and fog and issues, the less well the mind can actually meet any moment. In fact, you're not meeting the moment, you're meeting your own echoes and reflections about the moment. You're actually encountering your own framing and story, way more than what's actually occurring. And the Buddha says very, very clearly, watch out. I think another durable quality is the realization of ordinary, everyday activities as both the practice and the manifestation of the awakened mind. I remember when I was much younger, I had many, many erroneous ideas. One of them being that, like the Jedi could move stuff with the Force and they got lightsabers and they were cool. Well, people that awaken must get to use the Force and have lightsabers and be cool. Something special has to happen. Maybe they can ride dragons, or they get a magic staff, or something. And I go to seek great wisdom from the enlightened dragon, and I get handed a broom. Not one to ride around on in the Quidditch field, but one to actually sweep. I'm like, I'm here for Zen. Well, yeah, sweep. No, you don't understand. I'm here to come to awakening. Oh, yes. Then you can also do the dishes. I was met with great generosity and kindness, it turns out. So it's not somewhere else. It's not, you don't have to pound yourself into somebody else's life. You don't have to become someone else. You simply have to realize what you actually have always been. You don't have to, you really don't have to do a whole lot other than stop doing so much. The entire universe is present, immediate and intimate in every moment of awareness. This is the essential business of coming home. Coming home to this very moment, coming home to this true nature, to our true selves, to our true lives. And I think about how much is in the way of this immediate experience of our true human life. And I feel very concerned for the young generation. I'm solidly a Gen Xer. I'm right in the middle of Gen X. I was born in '69. I'm 57. That puts me right in the belly of that crew. So I'm one of the last Homo sapiens, probably, unless we annihilate ourselves and revert to the Stone Age. I'm probably one of the last folks to grow up without internet and computer and email and stuff. Like, I can remember most of my young life without any of that. And we can see something of the effect that this is starting to have in the young people that are now coming into grade school and elementary school, having only engaged with pixelated experiences. Is very concerning. But the disease that brings out is actually not new. It turns out that what the Buddha taught 2,600 years ago is prescient and deliberate and directly related to this, actually. All that stuff is just an expression of our dysfunctional mind, or an expression of our enlightened mind, depending how we use it. There's a great teacher from the 8th century, right in the Tang Golden Age. The Silk Road was flourishing. Master Shitao said it this way: though the hut is small, it includes the entire world. Though the grass hut is small, it includes the entire world. In 10 square feet, an old adept illumines forms and their true nature. Of course, historically, a thing or two to note about that: in the 4th to 6th centuries, the Chinese encounter with the Buddha Dharma was mostly scholarly. There were great scriptural institutions and monasteries. But in the Tang, it began to change. That's the 6th to the 9th century. Bodhidharma brought the awakened mind itself directly up into China. And the shift went from these big scholarly institutions to hermitages and intimate practice and deep realization. The student-teacher relationship, as we currently understand it, became very, very clear in this time. So what is this business about illumining forms and their true nature? I cite Master Chunul, a Korean master from the 13th century. He said it this way: now I aim solely to introduce ordinary people of great aspiration to look back on the radiance of the one true Dharma realm, which is their own mind's fundamental wisdom of universal brightness. They will then be able to awaken to the fact that although the names of the Buddhas in the 10 directions are different, these are the forms and functioning of their mind's wisdom of universal brightness. They are not external things. Ordinary people, ordinary folks. This is one of the great things to understand, is that all the great awakened masters and all the communities that they stand for and served were very much ordinary people. Through and through, all the way down. It's just us folks here. And that's very encouraging to me. That means I have a shot. That means we all have a shot. The Buddha is not some singularly unique entity that has some connection to a divineness that you do not. No, no, dear one. Rather, simply another one of us, just as we are, and yet who awaken to this universal mind. Ordinary people of great aspiration. This is really important. A lot of people come into encountering the Dharma looking for emotional consolation, say, or help with a particular issue or crises in life, perhaps as some way of improving the self or improving one's health. I mean, all these things are very fine ways to begin practice. It's okay. But somewhere along the line, if you hang out with people that have been doing this for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and that love it and thrive with it, those kinds of motivations have long ago fallen away. This aspiration, this great aspiration, yes, we need to get past this crisis moment. We need to figure out how to have the day be a little more workable. It's all good. But ultimately, you need to become Buddha. And you can. You need to realize your inherent freedom as a dragon of awakening. That's your birthright to do. And it can be done. All those other little motivations fall very much away. They happen, they get handled. But the big aspiration really is full and complete awakening for the sake of all beings throughout space and time. And that aspiration to really develop yourself, to really realize yourself, and to really live out of that true, authentic life, that aspiration is itself the awakened mind. As soon as you have that thought, that feeling, that intuition of taking yourself seriously and joyfully and coming to enlightenment and awakening, look, all these awakened masters, they're just people. You're people. They did it. You can do it. Yes, you can. The hardest thing is already behind you. The hardest thing on the path is finding your way in the door for the first time. That's actually the hardest thing of the entire trip. The odds of that happening are not very good. The odds of this resonating with you at all are almost infinitesimally small. How many people are breathing air? How many people come to any kind of awakening? But you, believe it or not, yes, you have the karma to actually give a shit about this. That's kind of amazing. That's already the subset of amazement. If you can just lean into that a little bit and trust your intuition a little bit and don't be scared and lean in, you'll find that actually you can come to enlightenment. You can come to awakening. And this is not about just you getting yours, so to speak. This is about coming to awakening actually for all beings. And it's great, it's fun, it's wonderful. You're going to live and die anyway. Why not be awakened to it? It sure beats sleepwalking through your life, getting to the end and not even knowing how to formulate the question well enough. What was that? This great aspiration. Cultivate it. Don't let the mundane and scary churn of the world keep you from realizing yourself. The world has always been churnful and on fire. No kidding. But you are a precious human life. You have the capacity to come to awakening. And your days are dwindling, one by one, unrelentingly. So how about it? I aim solely to introduce ordinary people of great aspiration to look at the radiance of their own mind's universal brightness. Simply to realize your own mind's universal brightness. It's always been there. Everything you've seen, heard, tasted, touched, felt, thought, it's pure evidence of it, pure expression of it. But do you realize it or not? That's another thing. The radiance of your own mind's universal brightness. This is the actual Dharma realm. You know, this Sunday I gave teaching on the 6 realms of suffering. The Dharma realm is your own universal mind's bright, functioning wisdom. That is the Dharma realm. And it's not somewhere else. It's actually quite simple. Just don't cling. Not knowing. Ordinary activity as expression of it. And you got it. But no matter how cleanly I can say it, you have to actually earn the realization of that yourself. You have to learn how to really pay attention to your experience. No one can do this for you. Conversely, if you attain it, no one can take it from you. If you attain yourself, that's that. Chinul goes on to say that although the names may be different, forms and functions may arise differently, it's all just the universal brightness of this one mind, this one bright pearl. The dragon, you know, holds this beautiful gem. That's you holding yourself, realizing it. These different Buddhas in the 10 directions, these different aspects of reality everywhere, they are not external things. And we'll conclude with that. There are no external things. Of course, it's in a sense true that I'm up here at this moment and you're not, but I invite you to interrogate it a little more deeply. Where am I right now? Where is this happening? Am I outside you? Is anything in your perception outside your perception? Is the enemy out there somewhere? Is the freedom and answer out there somewhere? Watch out. You can spend decades of your life chasing phantoms and ghosts, haunted by the image of a true meal while chasing shadows. So for centuries and centuries and centuries, practitioners of the way have learned to sit down and pay attention, to be still, to stop running from or chasing after anything. Rather, become a warrior of your own mind. Take custody. Pay attention to your experience while you can. Watch very, very, very carefully those subtle and coarse movements of mind. Keep that mind in that one point, if that's your practice. Pay attention to that breath, if that's your practice. If you get carried away by thoughts, see them, acknowledge them, let them go, and very simply, come right back to that breath. Each time you do that, you just deadlifted. Okay? You're getting strong. You're getting capable because you're starting to actually notice the process of your own self-imprisonment. If you can get yanked around by any thought that happens to come careening through your mind stream, you're in trouble. You need to have your own center have more gravity and weight than anything in the senses. You become the master this way. You own your own experience. You're here. Now you can look up and you can smile or cry. Just fine, because you're actually there. So please take it up. Please practice deeply. If you're visiting for the first time and you receive beginning instruction for the first time, congratulations. The hardest part of the entire path is behind you. Just do it. Get connected. There's more to do. There's lots to work on, but please do. On the other hand, if you're old hand and you've been doing this for a long time and session begins, this is our retreats that we do. We do one every month. It's starting tonight. Congratulations. Auspicious occasion is occurring. Session begins. Kind of the same. Same for me. So let's use this time. We're lucky and fortunate to be able to hear the words of the Dharma and to practice. For the sake of all beings, that they may raise great aspiration and come to full, complete realization, may it be so.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless.
to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it.
As this begins our session this evening, please depart in silence. Please restore the Zendo. Thank you.